This podcast is part of the Shrimp Queen Network.
Visit facebook.com/Shrimp Queen Network to see more great podcasts.
Hear them.
Hear more great podcasts.
Good job.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back to 10 for 10's Shocktober marathon. I guess it's not really marathon because we're not really doing more than once usual. A week.
Marathon is like one after the other. It's not that. Anyway, guys, guess what? It's my week. Okay. Anyway.
That just reminded me of Brooklyn Nine-Nine when it's like, you guys know what it's time for? And then she turns around and it says Gina's opinion on the back of her shirt.
That's a great shirt. That sounds delightful. Anyway, yeah, it's my turn for October. Dan, is there anything you want to talk about before we get started on the list?
No, because now we have a new bumper in front of our show, so we don't have to mention that we're on the Shrimp Queen Network in the actual show, even though we just did.
Okay. So
that's kind of paradoxical.
Check us out on all the things.
I'm just making sure that my phone is silenced.
We have found out today we are going to be on iTunes. That should be up
so
in the next few hours.
hopefully this episode comes out on iTunes too.
That'd be pretty cool.
So it's either 10 for 10 or 10 for 10 podcast on there. Well, obviously you can't really know if you're listening to this. I'll post about it.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, finally on iTunes. So now a lot of people don't have an excuse for not listening.
Oh God, okay.
Because everybody has iTunes on their phone, and a majority of our listeners use the iOS to listen to the show.
Oh,
already.
You know that?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Analytics on Podbean. They tell you
that. Sorry, guys, you never showed me that. Anyhow,
and also
that's because I have never really been on the Podbean website. I've been on it on the app, and the app
is not good. Yeah,
use some work.
I think that their analytics aren't accurate either, because I think, and I'm not like deluding myself into thinking this. I think we're getting more downloads than it's telling us we do. I even tested it out, or like plays, I guess. Oh yeah, now on Spotify
it was only telling us downloads, not plays. Anywho, guys.
Well, because I even tested it out. I went and played it on Spotify, and then I went and checked the website like a couple hours later, and it didn't register a new thing.
We're not here to talk about this. Anyway.
Podbean bitches. No, I'm kidding. They have really good prices. If you want to start a podcast, Podbean's a great place to start on. They have good analytics. It's only like $14 a month for unlimited storage. Hells yeah. And I think within the last episode, maybe even before we recorded the most recent episode, a couple of friends of ours have started their own podcast.
Yay! Juju and Sash.
Yeah, sadly, it's not on any kind of streamable thing other than
on
YouTube.
But this way you get to see their beautiful faces.
Yeah.
They're quite delightful.
So it's called Kodama Cast. It's on YouTube, but they're trying to get onto places like Podbean or Spotify. They're just kind of looking around right now. I mean, I don't really think they need our help. Sasha's.
But they're real fun. They've already have 2 episodes up. At least.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Sasha's a famous artist, and Julie is an up and coming Twitch streamer.
Oh yeah, that bitch. But yeah, so check them out. They're really cool. Anyway, so and also this past weekend, me and Dan went with my siblings and cousins. We went to Penhurst Asylum, and that was a wild ride.
Jess almost threw up in one of the lines because they had like this magician kind of guy who was doing like body horror tricks, and he stuck an entire
balloon.
Oh yeah,
it was a balloon.
He put a balloon like down his nose and out his mouth, and then he was like pushing the air between the two, which was pretty cool. And then he put a one of those glow necklaces, not a glow stick, a glow necklace, which is way longer, down his nose, and it went straight down his throat. So when he opened his mouth, you could see it. And then he asked Jess's sister to pull it out of his nose. She wouldn't. And she almost threw up too.
I was gagging, but I turned away. But my sister, I thought she was going to. But no, it was a great time. And my other sister, she jumped about 5 feet in the air when she was scared before we even got into any of the buildings. This was just waiting in line. I swear she grew 3 feet.
Yeah, it was actually really cool because it's an abandoned asylum, like an actual old asylum, like
the
from the 1800s.
Buildings, though, that you go into, like the first one, it was just offices. It wasn't
the admissions
actually
building, but it's the best looking building.
Yeah, but they've done it all up. And then the other one, you're in like a basement, but it was never like home to any patients.
But it was still really cool just being on the grounds
it was spooky.
of like such like a ethereal place, and it has like such a reputation. Yeah. Penhurst Asylum. Google it if you want.
It's a spooky place.
We got Penhurst and we got
haunts in Pennsylvania, I think.
Eastern Penitentiary. I think there might be.
State's
I know there's.
To us,
I know there's definitely a BuzzFeed Unsolved episode on Eastern State Penitentiary, but I think there might be one on Penhurst as well.
But I think Penhurst is creepier because Eastern State was just a prison.
Yeah, because you're like, with Eastern State,
Asylum,
it's like, these people might have deserved being here. Yeah, they didn't deserve the treatment they got.
Messed up stuff, and there were like children there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this week is my list.
They did do Penhurst Asylum. I gotta watch it now that I've actually been there.
And I'm doing my top 10 movie witches. Though I would like to say, some of the movies there was like more than one witch that like I like love in it, so they're just still at like one number because I wasn't gonna make like a list of like 15 if I wanted to get all of them in. So it's like one number might have 3, one might have 1. I'm not gonna go into super details about all the movies.
Lost episode.
Yeah, in all of the movies, I'm not gonna like get into the entire plot because it's more like about the ladies. If the plot like helps like describe them, then yeah. But there's one you're going to be like, okay, we don't need to know it because everyone knows about it. And also there could be other episodes where I'm talking about this movie. Is it Hermione 1? Yeah, well, because I know that we're going to be talking about the movies in another episode at some point, so I'd rather not get too into them. There's a few.
The new one's coming out.
There's one movie that I've already talked about in so much depth that I'm not getting into it.
Halloween Town? I'm guessing.
All right, anyway, so I'm going to get started.
Wait, but that's a TV movie.
But it's a movie. I didn't say not TV movie.
Okay.
Boy, I said not TV, show. So no Sabrina, sorry. All right, so number 10, which I have not seen this movie in years. I believe I only saw it once, but I've always just super enjoyed it. It is Witches.
Always that one time you super enjoyed it.
I super enjoyed it. Like I've always like known that like I liked this movie. What do you mean?
Well, you said you watched it once, and then
and I've always known that I liked it. Sorry, that was my pen, guys. It is Witches of Eastwick from 1987. It stars 3 witches. It's about 3 witches, Alex, Jane, and Suki, played by Cher, Susan Sarandon, and Michelle Pfeiffer. 3 certified babes. And also Jack Nicholson is in it.
Oh yeah, I know. Aren't they all like competing for his love or something?
So sort of. So like these ladies, this is one where these ladies don't know that they are witches to start. They kind of accidentally form a coven by like deciding like that they should hang out once a week, and they like talk about like their like desires like for like a man and like all like this stuff, and they accidentally form a coven.
Did they accidentally make Jack Nicholson come to life or something?
No, he is technically like the devil.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, so these 3 ladies,
Does he know he's the devil?
Yes. Okay. Honey. Let me go. So they are widowed, divorced, and abandoned by their husbands, each like 3. And they're just kind of like, they're not like super into like the town that like they live in, but they're not outcasts. They eventually.
Oh fuck! I thought it was a spider.
Oh my god. This is frightening.
Sorry.
He was staring behind me, and I thought,
maybe he's under the sofa now. Sorry. I'll tell you if I see the spider come back.
Anyway, so this man, Daryl Van Horn, comes to town, and he seduces each one at a time. He like sets his sight on these 3 ladies.
His name is literally like Devil Horn.
Shut up. Yes.
It's like Dr. Acula.
And he eventually kind of, like, in, like, an argument, they're all getting heated because they're all getting jealous of each other. They don't realize, but they've levitated a tennis ball. Now, it may not seem like a big deal, but that's the first time that they ever realized that they could do anything. And so they're like, oh my god. So then they decide to, like, share him, and he, like, sort of, like...
Wait, so Cher gets him?
What?
You said...
Oh my god, Daniel. Cher. No, because her name is Alex. I'm not referring to her as Cher. Anyway, so they share him, and he kind of, like, it gets them to curse this one woman in town who thinks that he's the devil. And guys, guess what? She's right. But and they make her like start throwing up cherry pits, like, and
Ew.
it's bad. And so then her husband kills her because he thinks that she's possessed. Wild, right? Anyway, so their powers include like levitation, curses, and to get rid of good old Daryl, voodoo. They make a voodoo doll of him.
Wait, I thought you said his name is like Devlin.
Daryl Van Horn.
Oh. Okay, that's not as obvious.
No. And to like try and like defeat him doesn't work so great, but then eventually they do defeat him, and in the end, it's like a year later, and each of them has had a child by him. They all got pregnant, all had the kid, and they're living in his big mansion, and he's like appears like on like the TV, and they just like turn it off because he's like part of the house now. Creepy, right?
But
it's really good.
Like, it's supposed to be creepy or funny?
It's more of like a fun time. And then they actually ended up they tried to make a show, like a remake of it, Witches of East End. And Darren Criss is actually in it. That's why he wasn't in the musical Me and My Dick, because he got a TV show and it was conflicting with his image.
Wait, so it's like East End, like London? Like the East End of London?
No. It had Rebecca Romaine and Ashley Benson. But yeah, and it was really shitty. It lasted one season. Oh. But anyway, but yeah, it's a good old movie, and it's like the way...
Was it like too similar to Charmed at that point? Was it like too
It's in 1987. Or 19...
No, I'm talking about Witches of East End.
Oh, no, this was like in the 2010 area.
Oh. Well,
it was like right before Pretty Little
Charmed.
Liars, because Ashley Benson was in it.
Yeah.
And Rebecca Romaine had just finished up her run, or was in the middle of her run on Ugly Betty. So to say Easy. Sorry guys, it was on TV today. But yeah, so it's a good movie, but like the whole, and like they're all just like, they're such great ladies, and it's like you have black hair, a redhead, and a blonde, so then at the end that's how you know whose son was who. Which I think is really funny and stupid.
That seemed to come up a lot in witch trios.
Yes.
Which trio that I'm pretty sure is going to be on this list.
Before I forget, I wanted to give the definition of a witch is a woman thought to have magic powers, especially evil ones. Not necessarily everyone on this list. Popularly depicted as wearing a black coat, pointed hat, and flying on a broomstick.
Is that the Google definition?
Yes.
Or Wikipedia?
The Googled.
Okay.
Wikipedia just went on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But yeah,
you should have just done witches overall, because then you could have done Elphaba, Glinda.
Hi, have you ever seen the movie Wizard of Oz, honey? Okay.
But that's not the same.
Calm down.
They're
anyway, all right.
character.
So yeah, that's just a quick little movie that it's a good time, and it's a little bit goofy, but it's also super fun. And Jack Nicholson is like, I just remember at one point he's like laying on a bed in like a silk like robe, and it's like, "Hey, ladies," and they're just like, "Oh, boy."
That scene.
Yeah.
That's my desktop background when I was 10.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my parents got really worried about me.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I had to go to a camp.
Daniel, stop.
I'm kidding. That was fucked.
All right. Anyway, so
Happy Halloween.
So number 9.
That's my dark joke of the episode.
Oh god, number 9, The Craft. Only one of the witches.
Oh.
1996. It terrified me as a child because there were too many snakes in this movie. I don't mean people like, oh, she's a snake. I mean, there are just fucking snakes in it. At one point, everywhere. And it was horrifying. But I always liked Sarah in it. Played by Robin Tooney.
Oh, it's not Neve Campbell?
No, that was Bonnie. Bonnie's a bit of a bitch. Okay.
Well, she wasn't.
Fun fact about this movie, it has Neve Campbell and Skeet Ulrich in it. Scream, anybody? Though, when did Scream come out?
1996.
So the same year.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know which movie they became pals on, but they got
which
to hang out.
Which one came out first?
1996. I don't know. I didn't check the month.
Scream came out either really early
I didn't check
or
the
really
month
late
when they came out. But anyway,
1996. So it came out like around Christmas, and people were like, "Why is this movie coming out now?"
So Sarah's family, they're moved to LA. She's aware that there's something different about her. She always felt that way. But she's not exactly sure what. And she meets these 3 outcasts, Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle. And they like kind of decide, they were like, it's you, like you're meant to be the 4th member of our coven, blah 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 blah, and they worship the deity Manon. You good?
Yeah, I forgot what this movie was called. Sorry, I was checking IMDb.
Craft.
The Craft. There we go.
Manon, and they want to like invoke the spirit and become more powerful and shit. And they want Sarah's help doing that. And so it's clear.
It came out a month before I was born.
Oh Lord.
May 3rd, 1996. Sorry.
It's clear that Sarah is like more powerful than the others because she's like a natural witch. She didn't just kind of like decide that she wanted to be one and like start doing it. She was born with the abilities. She was born this way. Anyway, and so she's very good at just casting spells from like books with glamours, with like making people see things that aren't really happening. Like she changes her hair color and like her eye color and shit. She realizes that magic isn't always good because she casts a spell on Skeet Ulrich's character.
Ulrich.
Did I say Ulrich?
Ulrich, yeah. You said Ulrich.
Might be. To like be like in love with her, but then it like gets like too far and he becomes like obsessed to like the point of like almost like violence. And so she kind of realizes that it's like, okay, maybe not too good. And the other girls start getting like way out of hand. Like Bonnie gets very narcissistic and like just mean. Rochelle like makes a girl lose her hair because she's mean to her, which she is very mean in the movie, but it's like, my God, she like tortures her. And then Nancy just goes absolutely psychotic.
Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, in the end, Sarah is the only one left with powers, and she only uses them like when necessary because she's like, you know what? We don't just need to use magic every day, guys. But no, it's just a really good movie. It's a fun time, and like the outfits are like on point. But I just always liked her. But still, like I said, as a child, I was terrified. So terrified. They were everywhere. And yeah, so that's number 9. Don't have much more to say about it. I feel like we talked about The Craft on this before in one of like your lists. Did we?
No, maybe briefly during if I mentioned Scream because of Neve Campbell.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Number 8. I'm the witch. Into the Woods. I really like the witch in it.
But like,
and yes, I know.
Didn't originate on screen.
I'm not saying that any of them originated on screen.
Okay, so you're saying portrayals, and I guess there is a movie.
I'm just saying witches in movies.
There's like a film.
Anyway,
of the original.
But Into the Woods, specifically, I guess 2014, and there's a reason why I love her so much. Obviously, it's because it's Meryl fucking Streep. Okay. Anyway, so it's not necessarily like a witch movie. But, you know, there's a witch, and she plays a pretty big role. There's
a lot of magic in it. I would say it qualifies.
But it's not like The Craft is about witches. Like
The Witch is a pretty big part.
Witches of Eastwick. It's about witches. But I'm saying, like, there are like a lot of characters that just kind of are doing their thing. But she does kind of like set off the events of what happens. You know?
Could say that there once upon a time in a far-off kingdom, there lived a boy. She's just called the Witch. So she is the one who placed a curse on the Baker's family, setting off like most of the events of the movie. She adopted, and by adopted I mean stole, the Baker's sister Rapunzel and raised her as her own. Is she a sister in the movie? Yes, but he never finds that out. Okay.
He finds out that he had a sister, but he doesn't know that like who the fuck it is, whatever, or that she's even like alive.
She seems way younger than him.
Right? Yeah, anyway. So she was actually cursed by her mother for letting the beans get stolen from the garden. She's like an outcast from society, classic witches. And she's like the only honest person in the movie. You agree?
She's a realist. That is her ideology.
She's just kind of like, all right, you know what? If we have to kill some people, we have to kill some people. If we have to, like,
there is some fucking, I forget what that ideology is called. There's like two philosophies. Iron Man and Captain America actually display them pretty perfectly. Like one of them is like the ends justify the means. If it means we can, no. The ends don't justify the means for him.
But he's like very much like, I do what I want.
No, for him, he does what he wants because everybody else is like, we need to do it this way. And he says, no, we shouldn't compromise our morals. Like, Like the whole "we don't trade lives" thing. That's him saying like
one person.
Exactly. Like and like
Sorry,
Tony Stark on the other hand is like,
but he wasn't there for that argument.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we have to do as long as it's for the greater good and stuff like that. And then like Thanos is like a really extreme version of that.
This isn't a Marvel episode. So, with the witch in Into the Woods, doesn't really delve into what abilities she has like too much. It seems like basic spells.
Whatever the plot demands, she can do.
Yeah, it seems like the basic like she has powers, she can do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, there's no like I can only cast a spell if I have these things and I have that and I need to kill. You know what I mean? It seems like she can just do.
But isn't that the whole plot of the first act is she can
that's
only
because
do
she
a
was
spell
cursed.
Because she has...
No, but that's because she was cursed. Like, if she could do... I think her mom made it so she could only undo it that way. That wasn't her spell that she was trying to undo. It was her mother's.
Okay.
In the end, she does get cursed again, but
and she thinks that she's going to go somewhere else.
She thinks that she's just gonna get all ugly and humped and her humpback. Sorry, guys. Again, but then she just disappears, and it is assumed that she died
or exploded.
Yeah.
Or threw those pops on the ground and ran off stage.
Okay, Avery. But yeah, I like her. I mean, do you like the witch in Into the Woods?
Yeah, she's good. She's a good character.
Yeah. And I think Meryl Streep could play anything, and I'd love it, so...
Stay with me.
No. That wasn't a question. Alright, so... Number 7. If Dan had just waited. The Wizard of Oz. But since it's the movie, Glinda only. So sorry... Because she is not Elphaba in it. She has no name in the movie.
Yeah, but she's still a good witch.
Wicked witch of the...
Like, she's a good witch. Like a good
I know, she scared me
witch.
When I was little too much.
That's the point.
She scared the No, I like liking the witches, not hating them and being scared of them. 1939, played by Billy Burke. We're talking about Glinda. And she came in on a bubble.
She came in on a bubble, dog.
And no, she wasn't a princess to that guy in that one video. I'm so sorry. She was not a princess, and neither was her sister. Yeah. Her sister's the only one who never appears on screen. Glinda doesn't have a sister. She does. No, she doesn't. Yep. Yeah, Elphaba does. Yeah, but this isn't Elphaba. I know. Glinda has... Her sister is the Good Witch of the South. Isn't it? Not necessarily. It is believed in other depictions... Grow up, Jess. In other depictions, she is both of those. Glinda is just the Good Witch of... The North and the South? Yes. I don't know if the Good Witch of the South is that good if we look back. I mean... She helps Dorothy try to get home. She claimed that she was fighting for states' rights, but states' rights for what? For slavery. Stop. Witch of the South. Stop. So, she is actually one of the 3 characters that does not have a counterpart in Kansas. The aunt, uncle, and... Oh, yeah. They are not depicted in Oz, and Glinda does not have a counterpart in Kansas. Which one of them would you be if you were one of them? Like the core 4. Oh, I'd be Toto. I was about to say not including Toto. I would probably be the Scarecrow. I know someone is being Dorothy for Halloween. Cool, man. I don't know. Who would I be? This isn't about them. This is about Glinda, who my mom is obsessed with, actually. I feel like if you curled your hair, you could really look like the Cowardly Lion. Thanks. My uncle does a really good Cowardly Lion impression. Like the song, If I were the king of the forest. Like the stutter. If I were the king of the forest. And then there's like the... Okay, anyway. So she is pink as shit. Now, at first I wrote down that she used a wand, but then I was looking at pictures and it's more of like a staff. Yeah, it's a scepter. Yeah. I would call it a scepter. But I'm just, in my head, I'm like, she probably had a wand and then just stuck it in something. What if she has some like sick ass bow staffs to kills like that we never saw on screen? But to me, it seems like she has more magic than she lets on because she's like, here, take some shoes, follow the road. Couldn't you just fucking take her there, Glinda? Couldn't you just do that? I think that normal but then we find out would suffocate inside the bubble. She's not normal. She's not a human. She's a witch. If she tried to bring Dorothy I'm not saying they had to travel via bubble.
That's her way of moving around aside
Always.
from walking. She comes down in a bubble, Jess.
But yeah, I thought she was just so nice, and that was like the first time I saw like a witch that like wasn't bad. And then I was a good witch for Halloween, not specifically her. I still wore like a black hat and like black, but I wore pretty makeup. And I mean, was like 6.
As the witch in Into the Woods says, is there really any such thing as good and bad witches?
Right. But
she's not bad.
If I were talking about
she's not good, she's just right.
If I was talking about any form, I would probably get into Wicked, and Elphaba would be on the list because there's so much more to her than meets the eye. And Glinda, I almost wrote down Galinda when I was writing this list because of that.
To the western sky.
And I love Kristen Chenoweth. Anywho, not Dan. I don't think we've ever talked about this next movie.
Sorry.
This next movie, number 6, was made in 1998 and stars the lovely Hilary Duff. It is Wendy and Casper.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that movie.
She's the youngest witch on this list, as she is only 10 years old in this movie. Like the character, I don't know how old Hilary Duff was playing her, but she's meant to be a 10-year-old. All right, so she is the youngest one on the list. She befriends a ghost named Casper. So her and her aunts are like on vacation, and Casper and his uncles are on vacation, and basically Wendy and Casper bond over the fact that their aunts and uncles tell them to do, like, make them do everything. They never get to do anything fun. They're children, which I get. But at the moment, actually, Wendy and her aunts can't use any magic because of the evil warlock Desmond. He is like the most powerful one, but he hears a prophecy stating that Wendy will grow to be the greatest witch of the current time. No, the current time. Somebody could surpass her eventually, but at the moment, she is the one who's going to be like,
I always thought that was a Sabrina thing. I always thought that was like Sabrina because she had the 2 aunts and everything.
No, it's Wendy.
Very similar to Sabrina.
Wendy.
But like Wendy is like an old character too.
Yeah.
Like Wendy the Witch.
Yeah.
Surprised that she hasn't shown up in
the movie didn't come out till
Riverdale or whatever.
Well, because that's a Sabrina thing. Wendy was never part of.
Yeah. Do you think they'll add like Richie Rich or like Dennis the Menace to Riverdale?
I love Richie Rich. Anyway, so he wants to send her into the Mystic Abyss, which is basically like a black hole, to just be rid of her, be rid of this fucking 10-year-old child, because, you know, what else are you gonna do?
Why throw her into an abyss? Just shoot her.
Wait, the aunts, the witch aunts and the ghost uncles have like the best names. So the aunts are Gert, Gabby, and Fanny. And the uncles are Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch. Who are also featured in just regular Casper.
I was thinking of Austin Powers with I have a gun in my room. I'll go get it. We'll shoot them together, Dad. With Scotty.
And what is this
Austin
from?
Powers.
Oh, okay. So witches and ghosts are supposed to like hate each other, but Wendy and Casper, through their friendship, they are able to bring them together so that they can defeat Desmond, because nobody wants Wendy to get taken. She can fly on a broom. On a broom, bitch.
Is Kiki on this list?
Who? No, but she did come up.
Wow.
And she uses a wand for her spells.
The leaves are going to be mad, Jess.
She uses a wand for her spells, as do her aunts, so magic has to be channeled through it. They can't just snap the old fingers. They have to use a wand. And yeah, but I thought it was really cool because I'd never seen like such a young lady playing a witch, and I love Hilary Duff. She was not even Lizzie McGuire yet, and I fucking loved her. You hear that? So
you saw this before Lizzie McGuire started?
Yes, years before.
When did Lizzie McGuire start?
2000 something.
I
want to say 2003 or 4 or 2002.
No. Probably 2001.
She was supposed to be in middle school, but she was not in middle school. Anyway, but yeah. So it's a good movie. Family fun times. There's a really funny scene where the uncle ghosts are possessing 3 humans and they're flirting with the witches, and then shit gets crazy and then they realize that they're ghosts and witches and they're like, ew, like, get away from me. And Wendy and Casper are like, ah, shucks, we thought it worked. Because they just want to have some fun times and they can't do that if their aunt and uncle aren't having just some fun times.
Ooh.
And at the end of the movie, Wendy gives Casper a kiss on the cheek before they fly away, and he turns all red. And I'm like, ghosts can't do that.
They don't have blood.
They don't, yeah. So he
also,
blushes.
Lizzie McGuire started January 12th, 2001.
2001? Wow.
So it is a pre 9/11.
Jesus Christ, why is everything like that?
Season 1 was, season 2.
All right.
You know, they had to.
Okay. Next one, I'm going to sing you a song and see if you can figure it out. Top that.
Teen Witch.
I don't really need to. Yes, Teen Witch, 1989. Which stars Louise. The witch in it is Louise Miller, played by Robin Lively, the big sister of Blake Lively. Oh no! But now, like, when you go back and like look at her, you're like, oh yeah, they look like they're fucking sisters. So she, for some reason, honestly, I couldn't find online, and I wasn't gonna like YouTube it because I didn't know if I would be able to find the scene. I think like her like bike breaks, and she needs to call her like mom to come pick her up, and she knocks on the door of the seer, Madame Serena, who recognizes her from a past life as a reincarnated witch from centuries ago. So yeah. And then this is...
Why is it always like reincarnations when it comes to this stuff?
I have not said anything about reincarnation yet.
Well, no, it's just like so many movies are like, oh, she's the reincarnated dead wife of Dracula, or like she's the reincarnation of...
Are you thinking of the mummy?
Wife, the wife of a mummy, the reincarnation of the wife of some plantation owner who hung himself, Haunted Mansion. Sorry, all that stuff.
I love the Haunted.
It's always reincarnated wife.
But so this is when she's 15, so she's like, I don't know what you talking about, lady, you crazy. And then on her 16th birthday, her powers start manifesting through an amulet that Madame Serena gave to her that belonged to her and was lost in a former life. So it helps her start to get, like, her powers start developing. And so she, like, immediately starts casting fucking spells, like, left and right. She gives herself better clothes. She gives herself, like, a makeover. And she makes herself popular, gets the hottest guy in school to like her. But it backfires because it pushes away her best friend, Polly, a.k.a. Top That Girl. She gets back at her, like, mean English teacher and cheerleaders that were rude to her, and she realizes that, like, the power is kind of making her mean and stuff, because she's like...
Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolute vodka.
Oh, God. But she realizes that the power is kind of changing her, and she doesn't like that. And so, in the end, another situation, she gives the amulet back, and she decides to relinquish all of her powers. Wild. But yeah, because she sees that while it was a fun time, it was for the best to get rid of it, because she was hurting the people that she cared about the most, and she was hurting an innocent boy who could have liked her, but she was forcing him to like her, like he didn't know what was happening.
There's a lot of like legal ramifications surrounding that,
right?
Like
same
stuff like
craft.
that, like in Same in Harry Potter, and they like never really go into that.
What do you mean?
Romilda Vane,
well, yeah,
tried to date rape Harry Potter.
Shit, I forgot about that. But yeah, so she decides in the end that she does not need magic to be a good person, and she realizes that to be a good person, it doesn't mean that she has to be popular. Like, she realizes she doesn't want anything that she thought that she wanted. Though I'd like keep the cool clothes that I got out of it, you know what I mean? But yeah, and she incites one of the best musical moments of the 80s.
I know it.
By and that, you know that song was written for the movie.
Yeah, I know. They wrote it in like a day or something.
Amazing.
Still better than Everyday Bro.
Yeah, so her and her friend are biking, and her friend is like, oh, look at that guy. I'll never be as hip as him, because he's like not even rapping. He's lip syncing to a song that's playing from his boombox. And he's dancing
very strangely.
And so Louise like grabs her amulet and like rubs like a little bit, and then the friend just like whips off her hat and walks over, and she's like, and she just starts going for it.
Like, he looks like he's in pain while he's dancing.
The outfits, the everything. Oh, what a gem this movie is. All right, number 4. Now Dan called it 1998. Halloween Town. I've talked a lot about Halloween Town in a previous episode, so I'm just going to give it
episode 2.
Yeah, a little refresher. It's about 13-year-old Marnie Piper, at least in the first one, played by Kimberly J. Brown. She's unaware of her powers at the beginning, and then she follows her grandmother back to Halloween Town with her siblings because she's like, I want to be trained before I lose my magical powers.
When is she going to lose her powers?
Once she's done being 13.
Forever? She just doesn't have powers anymore?
No, it's like one of those things that if like you don't start to like learn and train.
You kind of missed the bus on that one.
13 is kind of like the end of, and the grandmother Aggie is played by Debbie Reynolds. Great lady. Sorry, guys. Turns out in the later movies, I'm not saying they were good, but turns out that her family line, the Cromwell witches, are basically like royalty. Now, you find that out in the 4th one where it's Sarah Paxton and not Kimberly J. Brown, so I'm not even saying if it's canon, even though everybody else is still the same. But anyway, so yeah,
why did they change royalty.
Her? I don't know. I think Kimberly J. Brown was like, I don't want to do another one. Like, we're done. Which I'd be like that too. So the spells in this movie, they're basically, if they rhyme, they work. There's no complications. They're in like the first one, there are some that like have that are in like another like language, but like towards the end, it's like if they rhyme, they work. She is constantly saving both Halloween Town and the human world. And she is able to open the barrier between worlds permanently. She's that strong. She introduces the supernatural back into the human world, like publicly, after centuries of them being away. And then in the 4th one, she goes to university at Halloween Town.
What's she major in?
It's witchery.
Witchcraft?
Witchery.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Witchery. I don't know. She doesn't say what her major is. But Lucas Gabriel's in that one and the 3rd one. But he gave up his powers. Anyway. Wild. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I just think she's a great girl. She was easy to relate to because she was like, I'm 13. I'm practically an adult. And that was like every Disney Channel movie. There were so many where it was like, I'm 13. You can't keep treating me like a child. And it was like, you are a child. You know? Did you feel like an adult at 13?
Definitely.
Yeah, really? Okay. But yeah, so I don't think I have much more to say about Halloween Town because I know I talked about it for a long time the last time. All right. Now this one has 2 witches. It's the Harry Potter universe.
Only 2?
Only 2 that I'm talking about. My 2 faves. So spanning technically from 2001 to 2011 if we're talking movie universe. Hermione Granger and Minerva McGonagall.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ginny, and I was going to be like, well, Ginny kind of sucks in the movies. But
yeah, no, Minerva McGonagall. But the thing is with this, since I know so much about it, I couldn't remember if I was taking stuff from movies or books. So
it does get kind of muddled.
But it's because I know so much about them. So I'm actually going to start with McGonagall. So she is the deputy headmistress up until the end of the 7th movie, technically, because she takes over. She is very talented.
She's a bad bitch. You can't kill her.
She's the head of Gryffindor. She is an avid Quidditch fan and has been known to, like, let things go when it comes to students and Quidditch. Because she's like, yeah, I get you. She's a member of the Order of the Phoenix. She helped Peeves with pranks when Umbridge was in charge, and that I realize is definitely books because Peeves was not in the movie. But she helped, and she also helped students like play pranks on Umbridge while Umbridge was in charge of Hogwarts.
That's not in the movies.
I realized that. At the end, I have, she's a bad bitch, you can't kill her.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Anyway, so one of the coolest things about her is she's an animagus. Animagi?
Animagus.
And she takes the form of a cat, and she is one of the few registered in the current century.
Yeah. Because...
And it's, like, really hard to...
If you're not registered, you get immediately slapped with life sentence in Azkaban.
Yeah. Well, it's because...
Like, even though Sirius Black was wrongfully imprisoned for the murder
Technically, he was still rightfully in prison.
Yeah, he was technically rightfully in prison because he's an unregistered animagus.
But yeah, it's because if they are like a bad person, they could just easily slip through the cracks by changing. You would be unaware that they have that ability. But yeah, and it's also very, very hard to
turn into a small rodent and watch young boys change for 20 plus years.
Yeah, but
not 20. Sorry, not 20.
12, honey.
12 years, which is still weird.
But also, it is very hard to master. Like many people.
Yeah, you have to keep a not gillyweed. You have to keep it's one of the components of Polyjuice Potion. Like some leaf, you have to keep it in your mouth for a month. And if it falls out, then you have to start all over again. And it tastes really bad.
Minerva did that.
Yeah.
Good old bitch. And also, she helped, Harry, when he, got back into Hogwarts for the 7th. She was a big part of the battle and getting the teachers rallying, getting the adults rallied together and force fields and shit. And she was just like, yes, bitch.
Yeah. I really wish that one of the main characters became an animagus. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Well, if they ever decide to do anything involving the Marauders, then obviously 3 of them did that. All right. And the other one,
True.
Hermione Granger, the brightest bitch of her age. Oh, by the way, played by Emma Watson, and Minerva's played by Maggie Smith. By the way. So the brightest bitch of her age. She is described as a borderline genius.
I would believe that.
Yes, and also having quick wit and encyclopedic knowledge. Encyclopedic knowledge. I spelled it wrong on.
No, we know which one of us is the Hermione.
Anyway, so at first she seems like she's only book smarts, only got the book smarts, but then proves everyone wrong, basically. Because she can do so much more, and people don't realize, she reads everything, so she knows how to do a lot of shit.
Ron really benefited from that in the later years.
Yeah, both Harry and Ron did. Without her,
Ron really benefited.
But no, they probably would have been dead so many times if she hadn't been there.
Talking about Ron, I'm kind of upset about his portrayal in the movies, but I mean, most people
I'm upset about a lot of things, but
not Rupert Grint's performance. He did very well with what he was given.
It was direct.
But they stripped a lot from him, sadly.
So, again, this wasn't it's this is what's about this one. There's so much that they didn't put in that, I just kind of, ended up writing down because I was I know these things.
Because it informs your opinion of the character in the movies, even though that's technically not the character on screen.
Me, just because it's the fact that she was the first to perform non-verbal spells in her class. She was the first to be able to. And then in the movies,
that's underplayed because by year 5, they're all doing it it's nothing.
And also, this is just J.K. Rowling had said that for the first 3 years at Hogwarts, she would have been able to beat Harry, hands down, in a duel. But then he started to get very good at Defense Against the Dark Arts. But she would have been able to, flatten him, apparently, according to J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, but then J.K. Rowling also has said a lot of other shit.
But this one, I'm okay. She is best in classes that are taught through books, like charms, potions, etc.
I see the spider now. He's hanging out behind one of the pop dolls.
Where?
He's tiny. He's got a little...
Okay. Anyway, her Patronus is an otter.
It is?
Yeah.
What would your
She gave up
Patronus
classes like divination quite early on because she thought it was stupid.
Even though she was right.
Yeah. I got a
What's her face?
Trelawney?
She was right most of the time.
I got, when I took the Patronus test, I got a dragonfly.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of cool.
Mine was an American fox.
Oh, wow.
Which I totally agree with because I'm very foxy. If I were to voice
I'm gonna go to sleep. Good night.
Disney character, I would probably say the Fox Robin Hood. Because that's just, it's natural. It's in my range and my timbre.
Anyway, number 2. Practical Magic.
Did you have a crush on Fox Robin Hood when you were young?
Never saw it.
Because a lot of boys that I know had a crush on Fox Maid Marian.
I've never seen it. I thought you were going to ask if I had a crush on Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman in this movie.
Do you?
I totally did. They're so cute in it. So, Practical Magic, 1998, starring Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. Yes, I already said that. They play Sally and Jillian, but they call her Gilly. Gilly. So, being a witch runs in the family, so it's, like, not a shock to them. They aren't like, what is this? They've always known that they are witches. Not, like, different. They've known that they're witches. So, their family, an ancestor, cursed the women in her family so that every man that an Owens woman loves will die an awful death at quite a young age. So to be loved by an Owens witch is to die.
Not good.
To be dead.
Wait, also you didn't mention Luna.
Yeah, I know.
Luna.
Because I love her, but I'm just not there. I'm just not there.
Okay, sorry.
Anyway,
go on.
So Jilly, Nicole Kidman, she's like amazed with the idea of love ever since she was like a child. Like since she saw her aunts give this woman like a love potion for her, the man that she like loved. She was just always like, oh my god, like I like want that. Also, one of the aunts is played by Rizzo from Grease. Can't think of her name. You know who I mean, though.
I can't think of her name either.
But you
it's
can
like a dude's name. I feel like.
I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Anyway, so she's, like, in love with the idea of love, and Sally is terrified of it. So Sally actually, as a child, casts a spell for, like, the perfect man for her, but it's a bunch of things. I clicked
on Grease, too. I'm sorry. One sec.
Don't apologize for that ever. But it's, like, a bunch of things that could never actually, like, be possible for, like, one person to be. But spoiler, we meet him later on. But, like, at, like, the current time. So Sally does end up falling in love because her aunts cast a spell so that she will. Little bitches. And she ends up having 2 daughters with him, and he, of course, dies a tragic death. He gets hit by a truck, I believe? Yes, he gets hit by a truck. So, in terms of powers, Jilly is very talented in, like, charms and persuasion. It is... What's her name?
Stockard Channing. It's not a guy's
Rizzo,
name.
Guys.
It's just kind of strange.
So anyway, Jilly is more talented when it comes to charms and persuasion, like getting people to do what she wants, while Sally is...
Oh, that's what that means.
I will punch you. While Sally is better at like witchcraft, like casting spells, and she's good at making potions, which is why she owns a potion shop. She's opening it. So everyone in town kind of hates them because... They're witches, and
get out of here!
Like they're scared and they're frightened. I'm not really getting into the plot of this movie because Dan has never seen it, and I want him to see it very, very, very badly.
People fear that which they do not understand.
Okay, good try. But it's very good. And it's like, it's just such a fun movie, but like it also is like a little bit creepy at times. Like, it gets creepy. You guys just kind of have to
Does anybody get, like, kind of corrupt with power?
No.
Okay. Because you know what they say?
Dan?
Power corrupts.
There's kind of like a brought back to life.
But absolute power
fucked up.
Corrupts absolute vodka.
Anyway, stop. And you guessed it. Number 1. Go ahead, Dan.
Sabrina.
No.
The Teenage Witch.
From 1993, starring Winifred, Sarah, and Mary, it's Hocus Pocus.
The
Sanderson sisters.
Okay, I was about to say Hocus Pocus is the witch that you like?
Yes. So the Sanderson sisters, all 3, even though they're bad, I still love them.
But you wouldn't put the Wicked Witch of the West?
No, because I didn't like her at all in the movies.
Okay.
I love these 3 in the movie.
Have you ever seen The Return to Oz?
No.
Fucking terrifying.
So the witches are played, Winifred, Sarah, Mary, played by Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy. Now, I am so sorry. I cannot pronounce the last name. It's Najimy. Najimy?
Probably.
Anyway.
Oh, no. Bette Midler.
So it starts off, we meet them in 1693.
Keep going.
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, spider moved. He's on a different one now.
Okay. So we first meet them in 1693, where we learn that they want to stay young and beautiful forever, but to do this, they have to suck the lives out of the children of Salem. Yeah. So that's kind of like their goal, and they end up being hung for it because they hung.
I think it's hanged.
I said being hung
when
for it.
It's like that.
I'm not saying hunged. I'm saying hung.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
I think like hung is like I hung that or something.
I don't
like
know.
That. I don't know.
But anyway.
I always fuck up with that one.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to punch Dan. So if he doesn't return next week, it's because he can't speak.
Too super hard.
So, they're trying to suck the life out of children so that they can become young and beautiful forever. They're hanged.
I don't know. Sorry.
For their crimes of killing Emily Binks.
You have to say it like Emily.
No,
that's how he says it.
The disappearance of Thackeray Binks, who's actually a fucking cat.
Wait, is it Thackeray or Thackeray?
Thackeray. Fuck. I was watching Grey's Anatomy earlier, and Meredith's dad's name is Thatcher, so... Oh, man, it messed me up because I was watching an episode with him. Anyway, Thackeray Binks. The only way that they can come back to life is if the black flame candle is lit by a fucking virgin. And guess what? A fucking virgin does it. He lights it. They have a spell book, has an eye that, like, looks around, but it is made from the skin of their enemies, specifically Winifred's enemies, because the other two are, yes, they're witches and they're technically evil, combative. But they're honestly, like, the two dumbest people in the world. Like, at one point, Winifred even says, how did I get cursed with two idiots for sisters? And I think it's Sarah who says, oh, just lucky, I guess. And they're just very dumb. So, wait, where am I going? Oh, no. They were always so stylish. There's a great musical number that they sing, which has not much to do with the plot, but it is great. Hey, I mean, it does put a spell on the, yeah, I know, Batman. It puts a spell on the parents, but, like, was it necessary? Yes. Anyway, so it seems that they can do spells without any talisman, like wand, whatever, but Winifred needs her spell book to do most of them. She doesn't have them memorized, which
is weird.
Wow. Though it always bothered me because when they're trying to remember the spell to make the potion, I was always so angry because they're like, and what was it? Dead man's something. And Sarah goes like, dead man's toe. And then they're like, no, shut up. And I'm like, bitch was right. She was right.
Doesn't she say it like,
that's in the beginning. Toe. That's in the beginning where they're like, and a dead man's toe. And she's just like, so like, not nasally. It sounds like she just has like a stuffy nose. She's like, dead man's toe. But then, yeah, when they're like trying to remake it in modern day, she says it. And they're like, no, you fucking idiot. And then they're like trying to think of other things, Winifred and Mary. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry, Sarah. You were right. And then she's like twirling around playing with the two teenage boys that they captured. Now, flaw that these Sanderson sisters have is their pride. Because literally, they could have sucked the life out of like a bunch of children and lived, but Winifred had a fucking vendetta against the little girl Dani, and she was like, no, I want to take the life of this girl. There were like a bunch of children coming to the house. I
thought it was because they stole the book at first.
Yeah, and then they got it back, took Dani, and then they make the potion, and they're trying to make her drink it.
Oh.
And then they have like enough for one kid left, and like literally they're like, look, we have a lot of like children here, and she's like, no, I want to get the little brat that called me ugly. And I'm like, girl, you can do that later. And it ends up being like their downfall because then they all burst at sunlight. And Mary has the best line at the end. She just goes like, oh, bye-bye.
Do you think, I know that they've made a book sequel. Do you think they'll ever make that into a movie? And would you want them to make it into a movie?
No, never. Unless it had original
cast.
Witches. Yeah, which Bette Midler I don't think ever would, because she has said in interviews that wearing that wig was the worst thing in the entire world.
She wore it for Halloween last year.
It was a fake one and it was much lighter.
I guess.
Because it was just like a costume one, but yeah. So she said she was miserable every day that she had to put that on. And I don't know. I don't know if you would have to have all three. They cannot be recast. But it is
they would do it.
It is not only my favorite movie with like witches, it is my favorite Halloween movie.
Well, talking about favorite Halloween movie, that's going to be the last episode of
Okay, but there's still one more episode before that.
Yes. I'm still deciding what to do. I'm thinking cryptids or something along that line. haunted
saying
places.
That for a few weeks now.
Yes, I know. I was going to do cryptids and I did serial killers instead. I kind of wish I did cryptids looking back because it would have been a lot more fun. But, you know, we got to do what we got to do.
Okay.
I guess. So look forward to, look forward to that. Look us up on iTunes now. So it's either, I need to double check what the title is. So it'll either be just 10 for 10 or 10 for 10 podcast.
But when we find out, we'll let you know.
Yes. We're on Spotify now. We're on what?
Just really put.
Hey, we have this. We have a pop guard.
Anyway, go on.
Spotify. We're on Podbean. Follow us on Facebook where we're the 10 for 10 podcast. Follow us on Twitter at 10 for 10 pod. I haven't really been that good at using Twitter recently. I need to get back.
And
so start following me. So I'll have a reason to tweet. What else? Follow the Shrimp Queen Network on Facebook at facebook.com/Shrimp Queen Network. I know it's going to come up in a second anyway. I forgot that we have the bumpers. And
thank you.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your spooky, scary skeletons. There's one inside all of us.
Tell that vampire that lives in your closet.
Yeah, tell everybody. Don't tell like the children. Just so you know, find someone, be like, hey, this is a good podcast. And I really like this episode in particular. Check it out if you like it. Like if you know someone who likes Serial or My Favorite Murder or whatever, then show them the serial killer one. But
anyway,
if they're a little bit lighter, show them the Disney Channel original movies one. I don't know, or not really show them because you're not showing it to them.
Anyway, goodbye. Thank you.
All
goodbye.
Right.
That was like the longest tangent I've ever heard you go on.
I can go on longer.
Goodbye. Have a great week.
All right. Happy October. Happy Shocktober.
Goodbye.
Love you. Be in your ear holes again next week. It's going to be my list.
This podcast is part of the Shrimp Queen Network.
Visit facebook.com/Shrimp Queen Network to see more great podcasts.
Hear them.
Hear more great podcasts.
Good job.
Thanks for listening.